Hold on.
Please
There you go. You're good, Josh.
All right, we back up in here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
Yeah.
Like we never left.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys checked out our previous video here, the Metalhead's Journey. But now we're moving on, man. So, there's a new Game of Thrones show coming out here in just a few more weeks, and so we decided we're gonna cover all the Game of Thrones seasons one by one here. So we're up to season 3, man. We're moving.
Let's do this, man. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Pull it. I got all my flask. I'm ready to go.
Dave's like, if we can get this done in 30 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna draw this out.
Here we go. That's the shocker of the cinch, Fossil.
Yep.
The shocker of the cinch.
Hello, and welcome to Three Guys and a Mic presents Game of Thrones, Season 3. I'm your co-host, the Human Dart, along with
Jason Tsunami.
And David Disaster.
Hey, yo, we made it.
Yo.
Oh, shit.
Bum, bum, bum,
Here
bum,
we
bum,
go.
bum, 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 bum. Man.
Pizza Dinklage.
Yep.
Dude, the whole time I'm watching this show, I'm like, man, these people, this person I'm watching here deserves an Emmy. Oh man, this person deserves an Emmy. And then I look up and like I'm trying to verify like who got Emmys and who didn't, and it's like I feel like some people got shafted for sure. That just
It's
never.
mostly just Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
I mean, well
deservingly.
Yeah, for sure. So hey, we're back with our review here of Game of Thrones. So if you guys haven't been following along, we're doing a season by season review of Game of Thrones while we're leading up to the new Game of Thrones series coming out August 21st, I believe, called House of the Dragon. So we're taking this opportunity to go back and review the show that really kind of was the reason why this podcast even exists, is shows like Game of Thrones. So we wanted to take this opportunity to go back and just give a little retrospective to each season. Just a quick light review. If you've listened to any of our other television reviews, we go episode by episode a lot of times, and we kind of break down the episodes. This one obviously is going to be very high level. We're really focusing on just some key questions,
Just some
stuff to kind
like
of bring
lingering
the
questions that
conversation.
we've had. Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing too bad. Now, one thing that hasn't changed though is we still are signed up for Jason's recap package.
Slightly tweaked.
Yeah, so Jason is still contractually obligated to give us those fucking tasty recaps. Fossil, deliver the goods. Do it.
All right, Game of Thrones, Season 3.
What?
Season 3 could be summed up in 2 words. Red Wedding. And if you're a fan of the show or the books, then you know. Most of the season leads us to this singular moment. For a few of our other surrounding storylines, we have Jon Snow captured and joining the wildlings in a deep cover op. We have Dany, the Queen of Dragons, securing her army of Unsullied and Second Sons. We have Jaime being escorted for the most of the season to King's Landing by Brienne of Tarth and somewhere losing a hand along the way. These polar opposite characters, they come to better understand one another. And I would say in a surprising way. We have Theon Greyjoy served up as prisoner to Ramsay Bolton for his stunt at Winterfell, which weaves through the season as well. But the crown jewel, the central character really of this season, in my opinion, is Robb Stark, the King in the North, who time and time again makes critical judgment errors that, when compiled with the absolute nuttery of decisions of Catelyn Stark, lead him to begging forgiveness to Lord Frey for his broken oath to hopefully gain the Frey army. What transpires is one of the most devastating scenes in Game of Thrones, maybe TV history. And the season comes to a conclusion with the news to all of the houses delivered by Raven: the White Walkers are coming.
I think this season is really where the show picks up. Dave, you mentioned earlier about everything kind of after the Red Wedding, and then the show really takes off. I think this show does a lot of good for Daenerys obviously, like this is easily her best season yet out of the first three.
I agree.
I think this season is this is the launching pad, I think, for the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have mentioned that like the first season is like the hardest one to watch and stuff like that, and I don't think it actually is.
A lot of character introductions.
But to be, I like that you said that, Jason, because it kind of segues into what I'm about to say. This season takes care of all those character problems, the number of characters for you. If you were having trouble keeping up with some of the storylines and some of the stuff that was going on because there's just too much, Game of Thrones got you covered. Because by the end of this, there's really not. It's got tighter. Like they've trimmed the fat.
Just
I
a little.
Say that season 3, as much as the Ned Stark execution at the end of season 1 left everybody shocked in the fact that, oh my God, I thought he was the main character. Season 3 is, in my opinion, like infamous.
I think this is it's hard for me to like be accurate with this memory, but I feel like season 3, like after the Red Wedding, like that's when this show became like a worldwide phenomenon.
Yes, because everybody's like, anybody could die.
Yeah, like the show was popular, I say that, but like I didn't even really know about the show until after season 1 had already was basically ending. And then season 2, but I don't remember everybody talking about Game of Thrones. Like, oh, did you see Game of Thrones? Like, I remember coming into work on those Mondays, at Best Buy, and everybody was talking about it. But that didn't happen until like season 3, like season 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and all that.
Yeah, it became water cooler talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you had to see it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, you were going to get it spoiled.
I didn't start watching Game of Thrones week to week until season 4. So I binged all the way up through the end of season 3. And then obviously, like, once I saw a bunch of stuff in season 1, I was already in, obviously. But once I saw the Red Wedding, dude, there was...
Josh, do you remember... I was catching up on the show, and I got to the Red Wedding. Do you remember I called you after I had seen it?
Yeah.
For the first time? I don't remember the exact conversation, but I remember saying, like, dude...
what the fuck?
What the fuck just happened? And you're like, dude, I know, I told you. And,
dude, I remember I was watching... the first time I watched it, the Red Wedding, I was sitting there, it's happening, and I'm laying on the couch watching the show, and then it's just like anything, like something happens, like you immediately like start leaning forward. You're like, what's going on? What?
Yeah.
And then your mouth is open, right? Yes. And somebody else had walked into the room at that time, and they're like, oh, this is the first thing that they had ever seen in Game of Thrones, and they're like, what is going on? Is this how every episode is? I was like, no. The world is ending right now. I'm like, holy shit. And so, then that's what sucked them in, and they went back and watched the show. They liked it as well.
Look, I know Dave has a story about that, so I'll let him say it right after this. The issue that I had was that I was the book reader. So I was in the house with everybody watching it for the first time, and it was glorious. Fucking glorious. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say, my wife still has not seen Game of Thrones, like, to this day, like none of the episodes. I don't even know if she's really like knows any of the real spoilers, right? Like, I think she knows like that there's dragons and like stuff like that, but like I don't think she knows any of the main stories. One of these days, I'm gonna chain her up and make her watch this show. And dude, I'm gonna like slyly record my phone, but I'm gonna have to do it really slyly because I can't do it every time something bad is about to happen. Because then she's gonna know, like, oh no, he's recording me. Something bad is about to happen. But
as long as you get the Red Wedding,
dude, I have to get the Red Wedding. Like, I'm gonna like do a secret camera or something for that. It's gonna be brutal.
Well, I had this question coming up later, but since we're just beating this subject to death. Look, we know that the Red Wedding was, it was a crucial moment for Game of Thrones and really a shocking moment. Is there any other like moments like that you could think of in a movie or in a TV show that's kind of, made you feel that same way as the Red Wedding?
Maybe
I have. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only show where I've been like edge of my seat, mouth agape, like unsure of how to speak is like Breaking Bad. Like when spoilers for Breaking Bad, when Jesse's like girlfriend is dying.
Man,
and
I was hoping you were gonna say that. That's so good.
And Walter's like, he's gonna oh, and he just lets it happen.
Yeah.
That is probably the closest another show has gotten. And Breaking Bad, to its credit, has other moments similar to that. But I think Breaking Bad's like the only other show that even rivals.
But that's the first time. That's really the first time you see Walter White. Like before that, he's made drugs, and that's bad. But this is the first time you see him like morally like, this is going to benefit me if she dies. I'm gonna let it rip.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's a solid
sorry that if you've not seen Breaking Bad, because that's a pretty brutal spoiler.
Yeah, it is. For me, my favorite TV show of all time is Sons of Anarchy, and I get it. That could be a little hillbilly-ish, but look, I just love that show. I think it's written really well. Anyway, in season 5, one of my favorite characters, he's the best friend of the main character. His name is Opie. He's played by the main guy in Remember the Titans, Bertier. Anyway, Opie and Jax are in prison, and Jax is having to pick somebody to die, and Jax, being the good leader that he is, he's going to serve himself up to die to save all of his guys. Well, Opie, he's been through some shit, okay? His wife is murdered and a bunch of other stuff, so Opie kind of determines that he really has the least amount to lose here, and he puts himself in position to have to fight these guys in this prison cell. And you basically get a slow motion tight shot of Opie getting his head caved in by a steel pipe. And dude, it hurt, bro. Like, he was my favorite character in the show, and that was the only other time where I felt like, dude, fuck this show, man. That sucks.
Yeah. Jason?
I'll be honest, man. Like, I don't have one. I know that's it's not gonna make good. But not only does the Red Wedding, the most shocking thing that transpires, it's, if you're just talking about Rob and the mother, it's still not even the worst part of the entire Red Wedding. It's Rob's wife,
yes,
getting stabbed in the baby.
Yes.
Like, one thing I will say, so for the most part, Game of Thrones, and even in the books, I do not think that at any moment do you have children killed on screen.
No.
In view, in shot, or anything like that. You could argue like collateral damage, but I think beyond, like, say, Rick and No Zigzag, I would say that, for the most part, underage, they die off screen. But in this moment, like, his wife, I think, is about 4 or 5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think in the books that they don't. He doesn't even have this wife. Like, this was an completely added character for the show.
And she gets shanked in the gut, like 5 or 6 stabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I sent you guys a link. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I'll just say this here for anybody.
All the reactions. Yes,
for anybody that just wants to be like purely entertained and has seen the show and doesn't mind, it's not going to spoil anything. Just go to YouTube, look up Red Wedding reactions, and then just
worth your time.
Sit back and watch, because some of the reactions are just absolutely solid gold. So, I mean, ugly crying, sobbing, tears, screaming. It's
good stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's great shit.
Well, while we're here, let's just stay on the subject and get all the Red Wedding questions out of the way here. So let's say that day, right, you're Robb Stark, and you wake up from a nightmare about what's about to happen in the Red Wedding. Let's say somehow you saw this happen in a dream, okay, and you are convinced that this shit's going to happen to you. What's your next move? What do you do?
God, because I mean, at this point, you've already lost the Karstarks. Like all the damage is done. You need the Frey army.
Yep.
You're not going to get it though.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, but you don't know that right now. You're still hopeful, and it's just a dream.
I don't know, man.
You definitely go in there wearing armor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you just pack it up and head back to Winterfell and just call it a day?
I'm like, hey, Blackfish, you need me to go with you to the bathroom?
Yeah. I mean, do you think if at that point Rob's like, yo, I'm good. Hey, Joffrey, I recognize. Okay. Do you think at that point does Joffrey let him off the hook? Or are we too far gone at that point? And if they go back to Winterfell, Joffrey's just going to march the army down there and burn it down.
Well,
I think
the Lannister.
Joffrey,
they said that they've never. They mentioned in one of the episodes. It's much later, but the Lannisters have never marched their army that far north.
Yeah.
So I think if Robb sends a raven, bends the knee, and says, "Hey, look,"
Says my bad.
like, "Hey, look, you've won. I pledge my allegiance. I'm taking all my bannermen back to their homes. We're done."
I think he would. I don't know, man. I don't think he survives.
I don't think he survives for his whole life, but I think they call off the war.
I don't know,
Because I think Tywin considers that a victory at that point. Because you still have Tywin alive at that point.
And maybe somewhere down the line they send like a Bronn or something down there to go kill him.
We're just talking about in this moment what happens. And I think that buys Robb, time.
I don't bring the wife.
Yeah.
I don't bring the wife.
Yeah. Well, so as we know, right? So we know the Red Wedding does happen, and we know that Robb does fall here. But what were some of Robb's biggest mistakes that led to the fall? I mean, the obvious answer is showing up with his fucking wife, in front of Walder Frey, who he betrayed, and didn't live up to his end of the deal. So that's a low hanging fruit kind of answer.
So
but what were some other things, Dave? You had a good outlook on this.
So I think ultimately the whole war, honestly, stems from one mistake, and it's not Robb's mistake. It's Catelyn's mistake. By her not allowing Jaime to be killed by Lord Karstark and him exacting revenge on the deaths of his sons. I think if she would have just let Jaime die, screw it, that's my bargaining chip to get back my daughters. And does that mean that Sansa probably dies? Maybe, but I think if you let that happen, the Karstarks never leave, so he never needs additional men. So Robb never goes back to the Freys. So they either sack King's Landing outright because they have double the men, or they go sack Casterly Rock and force Tywin to negotiate or something. But that one decision by Catelyn changes the whole war.
It does. And the thing is, so I have I guess a question within a question. Do you think Catelyn makes the same choice if she had known that Arya was not even part of this deal? Because up to this point, nobody besides the Lannisters know that Arya is missing.
Yeah.
So essentially what she's doing is trading Sansa for Jaime, which is a terrible trade.
Well, look, it's a terrible trade to us flying at 30,000 feet watching this thing happen, but I mean, in the moment, would you trade Steven or something else for Steven?
Well, I think the thing is that it's almost out of character for Catelyn because she understands the importance of a male versus female in this time frame, in this world of Westeros.
But she's had her husband killed. She's concerned that Sansa's going to get killed by Joffrey.
They believe that Bran and Rickon are dead also at this point.
At this point, dude, she's in just preservation mode. Give me the rest of my family back.
And I agree. It's just that up to this point, like she has been kind of level-headed with Rob as far as the decisions that he needs to make and things that need to be get done, and she's taken the lead to go negotiate the first situation with the phrase. And it's just like, I'm just curious, like, I understand she's trying to save both of her daughters. I'm just curious if that would have changed if she had known that Arya wasn't part of the deal, because I don't think Sansa is any true danger of actually being murdered. I still think that the Lannisters are ultimately, never mind Joffrey, because God only knows what that idiot would do.
Yeah, but she doesn't want her daughter to be tortured, though.
Like, I'm just in the sense that I wonder if
to answer your question, I think she makes the same decision if it's Sansa or if it's Sansa and Arya. I think she's just trading. She's trying to get some blood back.
And I don't completely disagree. I'm just that dynamic never comes to the forefront for her.
I think Catelyn is the reason why Robb lost the war. Ultimately,
I agree. That and Robb's dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was okay? So we're done with all the Red Wedding questions and Rob questions here. Rob's dead. Sorry about your luck, bro. Hey, what was the best storyline of season 3 for you guys?
Oh, man, it's not best, but it is one that I don't think you guys are gonna choose. So I'm gonna choose it, and I'm gonna say it's the Theon storyline. And I'm just gonna say, because it was so unexpected and
bizarre.
And the torture is so brutal. I mean, he is completely broken as a person.
And don't forget, Ramsay helps him escape
just to recapture him
and kills
some
of his own men.
Yes,
just to really fuck his head up.
Yeah, like he brings in those girls just so he can chop his dick off.
He plays 2 of his fingers. He's got his ankles in a vice. I mean, it's brutal,
dude. It is worse torture than I remember, honestly.
I mean, look. I had this question later, but this is an opportune time to bring it up. Does Theon deserve the treatment that he gets from Ramsay?
So I know you guys are probably going to say yes. However, on the rewatch, dude, I'm like, just kill him. Like, I'm like Theon. Like, Theon is asking to be killed. Like, I'm just like,
just kill me.
Yeah. At a certain point,
the problem is he says that, and Ramsay goes over there and punches him twice, and he's like, I'm weak.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, the guy is completely psychologically, physically, mentally just obliterated, broken. Like, he's not the same person. And we see that later on in the show when his sister tries to go rescue him and he refuses, right?
And he cowers in that cage. Yeah, so God, brutal.
Yeah, this show. Go ahead, Josh.
Look, man. At the end of the day, I mean, look, Theon. Look, he was a prisoner of the Starks. Maybe it didn't quite feel that way for a long time, but he was a prisoner of the Starks. So him going back and taking Winterfell, maybe I get it. I don't agree with it, but he's trying to impress his dad, right? But man, to kill these 2 random farm kids, burn them alive, so you can't tell that it's not Bran and Rickon, just to try and put on a show. I think he definitely deserves to get tortured by Ramsay, definitely, and I'm all there. I'm all for it. I think I hate Theon more on this watch than I did the first time.
Yeah, he puts himself in the situation, makes it 10 times worse. His sister shows up at Winterfell and says, let's just leave. And he's like, nah. I mean, his father tells him, you're an idiot or whatever. And he's like, nah, man, we're doing this. And I mean, he sowed his own oats on that one.
Yeah. Now look, Theon does have one highlight here. That speech he gives before he gets knocked out by his own men. Dude.
Good stuff.
The dead may never die. Dude, I was like, fuck yeah, Theon, let's go.
And whoever kills that hornblower,
Yeah.
he's just ate up with that dude blowing the horn.
Yeah, like,
Dude.
look,
So
Theon
good.
is ultimately a dipshit, and he did
Yeah.
make his own bed, right? And he should, he should lie in it. But yeah, God, I mean, like,
Hard to watch.
it's like it's hard to say that, like yes, he definitely deserves that level of psychological and like torture. Like the physical torture, sure, he deserves that, right? The psychological and the mental stuff, like that dude got completely warped. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it,
Oh,
it's-
dude, it's
and it
even. I
goes-
mean, not
it goes
to
just
not to
wrong.
jump ahead in seasons, but I mean, whenever Sansa eventually comes to
Winterfell.
be with Ramsay Bolton, yeah, and like Reek is serving them, and he's like putting on his whole show in front of Sansa and everybody. Dude, it's hard to watch. It's rough.
yeah.
It's rough.
Uh,
All right,
I'll
Dave.
go
Good
with,
choice for best storyline. Fossil, what you got?
my best storyline for this season, for me, was the Jamie Brienne
Fuck you,
trek
Fossil.
down King's Landing.
You
it's
son
fantastic.
of a bitch.
I figured one of
Their
y'all would pick that one.
chemistry- Their chemistry is
Yep.
fantastic. I mean, just absolutely fantastic, and you get so much character development, especially on the Jamie side. But both of them, to
Yeah.
a great extent. And
Yeah, it's so funny this season. Like it's so high and low for Jamie because it starts off him with just absolutely being a dirtbag, and by the end of it, I think he's one of the most loved characters in the show.
yeah, no, I would not disagree. And we were talking about shocking moments. For me, just the when Jamie gets his hand lopped off, it is to me. It's just as shocking watching it for I think the 6th or 7th time that I've seen it as it was the first time.
Yep. Yeah, and just the relationship he builds with Brienne is really good. Jason, that was my choice. That's a solid choice. I will go for my backup one, which is basically the Khaleesi storyline this year. So just following her
once she
along
gets
as she
the
picks up her
Unsullied.
Unsullied. Yeah,
That's so good.
yeah,
That's
and that
so
dude is
good.
speaking High Valyrian, and he thinks that she doesn't speak High Valyrian.
He's calling her
And he keeps
whore
calling her a
and
bitch and a whore. Oh,
And then she's like Dracarys. Fucking
yeah,
Dude,
just
I
like
was
Jason's
gonna-
recaps, Dracarys.
straight
yeah.
up,
Hey,
straight to
when
cars.
when I watch that part, that's one of the few parts I get goosebumps. When
Yeah.
she's looking at him, he's looking
Look.
at her. It's like, you understood everything I said, and she's like, the car.
I think Daenerys' storyline through the whole entire of the show is got some of the highest highs and lowest lows
Yep.
of anyone. Like the highs
I agree.
of Daenerys' storyline, like when she's like a badass, is like nearly untouchable. But man, some of her early stuff in the first 2 seasons is like, and then even like in some of the later seasons, like a few of the episodes with her is just like, I want to skip it. Like I'm just not interested.
Yeah, it's like how many times can you say bend the knee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about worst storylines for this season? I had Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven. Like maybe that's just like foresight.
How dare you?
I also had that.
Who else
Yeah.
has a more interesting story than Bran the Broken?
God,
Except
everybody.
for Sam and Gilly. I can't stand the storyline of Sam and Gilly.
That's a nothing storyline. It's fine. It's just it is what it is. I don't know.
I mean, listen, how can you vote that when Sam is the one that discovers how to kill
White Walkers.
the White Walker? Sam saves the show. If Sam doesn't exist, the show is over in like season 4.
I mean, you're not wrong. I just don't.
This
They
is
don't
like-
have any chemistry.
This is like enjoying a Venom record.
The
There. I mean, I
right.
enjoy the record.
so for this season, which house has advanced and fell the most?
Lannisters
I-
have advanced.
I think
Yeah,
for sure it's the
Starks fell.
Lannisters.
And the Starks,
I
without
agree.
a doubt,
Yeah.
lost
I mean,
them.
the Lannisters made some big moves. You had a Tyrion-Sansa marriage, which would put Tyrion as a potential warden of the North at some point.
And his son would be definitely.
Yeah, and then you had Cersei and Sir Loras. So you get the High Garden, so you get the Tyrells on board. Plus, I mean, look, they killed Robb Stark, so yeah,
and they totally wiped out that war. Yeah. Like, look, if all the Lannister plans would have came to fruition how they set it up in this season, like, dude, it was a done deal. But then, Joffrey had to go and bite the bullet or whatever. So
yeah, speaking of Joffrey, so I think we get the opportunity to see him marry another person, or at least up to this point, he's engaged to be married with Marjorie.
Yeah,
and I think this is a that's true. So we do get a chance to see Marjorie interact with the people of King's Landing a little bit during the season, and
she's loved.
She's good at this. She's good at the Game of Thrones.
He's a pro, man. He's a pro.
Yeah, and look, she's really trying to do a lot of work on Joffrey, which, as we know, didn't really work out. But look, if the question here is, if given time and no interference from Cersei or anybody else, do you think Marjorie could have really turned Joffrey around?
I don't think that she would have turned him around. Let's just say that he's not going to do a 180.
He's not going to be like his brother Tommen.
But he did definitely notice in a few moments what she was doing and the reaction that she was getting. So I don't think he would have gone from like evil to good, but I think he might have learned how to play the crowd a little bit better.
She would have tempered him a bit. Now, to Jason's point, I think behind closed doors, I think he'd have still been who he was.
Sadistic cunt.
Yeah, but I think he would have tempered it with his people, and he would have learned how to rule, a
little bit better.
A little bit better. Yeah. So, realistically, I think Marjorie could have. I think the better word, or I think instead of turning him around, I think she would have salvaged Joffrey to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think
if he didn't kill her.
Yeah, I think he would just. I think this would have just had him suppress his natural feelings, and at some point he would have just not had the ability to suppress anymore, and he would have blown up on something or somebody. So, I think inevitably, he is what he is. So I don't think she was going to do anything to fix it.
Josh, apologies. Quick question. Now I just thought about it. Ramsay and Joffrey, you get them to hang out for a few weeks. In King's Landing. How is Ramsay and Joffrey hate each other, or are they big friends?
I think there's a little professional rivalry there. I think they're trading war stories, and I think it instantly gets to be a little bit competitive. And I think eventually it ends up Highlander style.
There can be only one.
There can be only one. No.
Yep. All right. Yep. That's all.
In that case, look, if we were going to go Joffrey versus Ramsay, I'd vote Ramsay.
I think Ramsay would win. Yeah. I think Ramsay is the future state of what Joffrey would have been.
I would have loved to have seen Joffrey just for 5 seconds endure anything that Theon has already taken.
Oh yeah,
no. Dude, see, that would have been good because I think he would have taken it a lot harder than Theon did.
Yeah. What's the next question here?
Yeah, last question I have here before we get into some rapid fire questions. So this season we did get to interact a little bit with the White Walkers, and we did get a pretty healthy amount of Jon Snow above the wall, his relationship with Ygritte and all that stuff. But more specifically, we see kind of an outpost out there on the north side that's kind of friendly to the I can't remember what they're called all of a sudden.
White Walkers.
No. What's Jon Snow?
The Night's Watch.
The Night's Watch, yeah. So it's this guy Craster. And this dude Craster's a real piece of shit, man.
To say the least.
This dude, yeah, I mean, this dude is raping / marrying / whatever his daughters, turning them into his wives and producing children. So he's got, how many women are in this fucking shack with him?
Like 30 plus.
30 or 40.
Yeah, I think the number they threw out there was he's had 95 kids or something like that. from all these females in there. But essentially, we see that whenever they produce boys, these boys are taken out into the woods and they are given to the White Walkers almost as like a sacrifice, right?
A tribute, some kind.
Or a tribute, yeah. So the question ultimately here, it's a long-winded way to get there, I apologize, but what did Craster get from giving the babies to the White Walkers? And eventually, do we think those babies became something more than just soldiers in the army? Were they higher ups?
I have no idea personally. But.
At one point, Craster does say, I think he does kind of lay the hints where he says that they're protected.
Yeah.
And he says, as long as you follow the one true God. He doesn't specify what God he's talking about. For all
he's talking about the Night King.
It could be the Night King. And as long as he keeps doing that, they won't touch him. Like, it's hands off at Craster's Keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My real answer is going to be, I feel like this is one of those storylines that may get explained more in the books that the writers never got a chance to. Because of lack of completion.
Because something is happening to the kids that he's putting out there, the boys.
Yeah, because they made this a big deal, like, about like these children. There's even like in a way future episode, there's like a baby and one of the White Walkers like touches the child and turns its eyes blue. It's like there's something there, but then they just stop talking about it and they never really go back to that storyline. It's kind of just abandoned. So,
but clearly, Craster is just getting protection. So, I mean, if he keeps donating these kids out there, then he's going to get to live with confidence that there's going to be no problems.
Yeah, because he exudes the confidence. He's like, there's nothing going to happen here to me.
Yeah.
Yep. But he's an asshole.
So, yeah, he is. I'm glad he died. Hey, just to cover,
the guy calls him a bastard. Call me a bastard one more time. And he goes, I can't even remember exactly what he tells him, but yeah, he calls him a bastard. You daughter fucking or whatever he calls him.
Yeah. So just to cover a couple of storylines we didn't talk about there. So we do know, I mean, Jason brought it up quickly, but Sam... well, maybe it's not Jason's favorite storyline. Sam does move the story along pretty bigly here because he discovers that Dragon Glass
is one of the things that'll
kills the White Walkers. So that's a big part of the storyline going forward. And then obviously we really didn't talk about Tyrion much. I think Tyrion had a pretty high peak during season 2. That was really the Tyrion season. And I think the comparison we made earlier was just kind of like a wrestling storyline here, Look, sometimes you got the championship, and then after you lose the belt, sometimes you got to go down to the mid card and, go for the Intercontinental Championship or the European Championship. So Tyrion's doing some things in the background. He's keeping it moving, but this was definitely not a Tyrion season, but it's gearing him up for his season in season 4, where it is absolutely a fucking magnificent Tyrion season. We'll get to that next week.
With lots of highs and lows. All of it good.
Yeah. So, a couple rapid fire questions here. Favorite character for this season? I got Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a Jon Snow season for me. I like Jon Snow here, like with his work with the wildlings and all of that good stuff.
I'm going to go against the grain and to pick a good bad guy. Question mark and Jaime Lannister.
Hey, that's a good choice. I don't blame it. Least favorite character, Stannis. God, he's boring.
He is pretty damn boring.
I'm gonna jump on the Stannis bandwagon there with you, Josh. I have found that like the best thing about his storyline is Sir Davos.
Yeah.
By a mile.
For sure.
I'm going to go with...
and the Red Woman.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guy with the least interesting story, and that is Bran the Broken.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. Fair enough. Favorite new character this season? So, do have a couple of choices here. You got Tormund, you got Ramsay, you got Lady Olenna, you got Craster. Look, Ramsay was my favorite character for the season, so by default, maybe he's got to be my favorite new character. But just to spice it up, I think Tormund's also really good in this season.
I'm gonna go Ramsay here, because I don't think this is not the version of Tormund that I will come to love.
You love the Tormund Brienne storyline.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna climb that mountain. Like that dude is all in.
Wants to be.
But yeah, like no, like the Tormund of like season 5 on is like that's prime Tormund for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ramsay. Tormund would be my second, but it's Ramsay. I mean, his storyline with Theon is just God. We already talked
really
about
good.
it.
All right, so best death. Obviously, Red Wedding, but are there any honorable mentions out there?
I mean, I'm just gonna go with the Robb Stark death. I mean, Lannisters send their regards, dagger to the heart. I mean, and then he looks like right before it, he goes, "Mother," like, it's done.
I want to stay away from the Red Wedding, but
it's tough.
It's tough. Like, I would say so. Best death. I'm gonna go with. Shit. You go, Josh. Let me think.
Yeah, so I mean, look, I have the Red Wedding just in general, but honorable mention for me. This is not truly a death on screen, but it's Varys, where he's given that long story to Tyrion about people that torture you and things like that, and then he unveils that he's got the guy that actually castrated him, like locked in this crate with some holes in it, and he's just like keeping him in this crate and torturing him. I love a good revenge story, so that really spoke to me in that moment. I'm sure that guy's dead somewhere down the line.
And I love that we don't know exactly how that guy died, but the implication is that it's like, hey, I found the guy who tortured me, and he's delivered in this crate.
He has his like mouth sewed shut.
No, I think he's just been in that crate for a really long time.
Well, he's trying to talk. It looks like he's either gagged or he has his mouth sewn shut. I would go
maybe if he is a magician, maybe so he can't speak. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Craster as far as best death because that dude is a piece of shit. The guy that kills him is a piece of shit as well.
Yes.
Next season, but Craster, I found the line. Craster says, one more person called me a bastard, and everybody's trying to chill out, and the Lord Commander's like, God damn it, guys, stop it! And he looks at him and he's like, nothing but a daughter fucking wildling bastard. And that's what the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
And he comes at him, and
that is a good line.
He stabs that dude with that little dagger right through the bottom of the chin, right through his mouth. You see the blade, and it's right into his skull.
Yeah. All right. So that's all the questions I have for this week. So we're three seasons in here, coming up on season 4 next week. Oh God, man, season 4 brutal ending. But it's a great season in whole. So I'm excited to talk about it. In the meantime, we'll see you guys there next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
Later.